Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back, guys. It is Friday, the 22nd of May, and today we are going to be going through what happened on Wednesday, the physics paper one. I am very, very curious to hear all about it. But first of all, I got to apologize to all y'all. I had a stream planned for like 5:30 on Wednesday. I put out the blast, I populated the stream. I was up and ready to go, and then I had like a 4:30 session. Was doing it, get to the end of my Zoom, and it's kind of overrunning just like a little bit. It was the first session, so whatever. We get to the end of the session. And then in my Zoom, I see someone enter my waiting room, and I'm like, hang on a minute. I'm not supposed to be having a session now. Why is there someone in my waiting room? And I was like, okay, because he would normally have had that 5:30 slot on Wednesdays. And then I was like, oh, I got told he was canceling it. And I was like, all right. And then so I let him in. I was like, "Love that you're here. Why are you here?" So he was like, "What? We weren't canceled." He was like, "I was like, your mom said we were canceled," and I was like, "We're not canceled." And I was like, "Oh, I guess we're not canceled." And I probably might have just said let's reschedule, but his exam was literally yesterday. Um, so apologies, basically, in conclusion, for the fact that I was meant to go live and then had to cancel at the very, very last second. Would definitely normally not do that, but it's exam season. So like even today, like I was supposed to be having I've had like 20 hours worth of work cancel literally this morning. And so now I'm like a lot freer to come on and do it today instead. It's exam season doing exam season things. The schedule is just blah. But we're here now. So let's get into it. I'm so curious. So Ugla, and you were one of the ones I think you commented, and I was like, I'm sorry, I want to be here, but I can't. Okay, so you're saying it was easy, but you made silly mistakes. I'm really curious, what board were you? Because like the EdXL and the AQA, I'm hearing good things about. I think OCR, I might have heard some dodgy things. So you're AQA. Because that's okay, in which case AQA have been learning their lesson. Because the last 4 years or so, they have been like brutal, nasty, horrible, bad, just bad with their papers. I think this is the first year that someone's come out and said, you know what, the paper was okay. So maybe that means they're going to kill you in paper two, but like TBD on that. Any questions you have that you want to go over from the paper? I'm really curious to hear about that as well. Let me go through some of the stuff that people said in Discord. Um, all I and I quote, "Bro, physics was lit." So apparently that was good. I heard someone give me feedback. The person who wrote that paper has a loving wife, which I found quite amusing. Don't judge early. Paper two is looming ahead. Yes, absolutely. And also, like, it's so annoying that we had to reschedule for today because I imagine there were a load of people who would have been like lined up and ready to go on Wednesday, like really wanting to debrief while it was like fresh in the system. Whereas now I'm like, oh, it's like a gorgeous Friday evening, and I imagine fewer people are going to want to sort of tune in and discuss what happened a couple days ago in physics. So if we got lower turnout and you guys want to do it, I can start going through um, some of the paper two, the multiple choice ones, because I think the multiple choice there's fewer like worked examples for it, and so I can sort of happily provide that. Um, yeah, what were the mistakes you think you made in the paper? Because any mistake is instructive, right? Like you can pick up on the little mistakes that you made and then just find ways to not replicate those in like paper two. I think the topics in general are better in paper one, certainly. But I think yeah, what you can do is you can take any little mistake that you made in paper one and like make your adjustments, right? Every mistake is a learning opportunity. I think one of the things to do is to think, was this a conceptual error? Was this an execution error? Or was this an exam technique error? And that kind of helps you kind of work on how to fix that moving forward. Oh, bummer. Yeah, it was a mass pendulum question. You used the mass spring formula. I wonder if they how could you use the mass spring formula? I'm wondering what you went for K. So that's interesting. Also, very happy for other people to drop in the chat and sort of talk about their experiences. If you have any questions about like what happened in the paper one, what could come out in the paper two, it worked out. But how could there be a K if it's a pendulum? Because the pendulum has a string. Did they give you an extension or something? That's funny. That's weird. Oh, I will say, guys, if you want some entertainment, I remember it was a couple of years ago that AQA decided to go nuclear and just be like abysmal. The student Twitter went off. It was so funny. If you like at the end of all of this sort of campaign, if you want to sort of go back and see what some of that reaction was, I highly recommend it. This sort of student reaction to papers, great stuff. Okay, so you had a pendulum problem. Use the mass spring formula. That's kind of annoying. I suppose in theory, what you can do is like make sort of good use of your like formula book, sort of really looking at that formula book, making sure you know every formula that's in there, when to use it and why, so that you can look at a question and immediately go, okay, that's what's required for this. There was a kid on a swing. They gave max kinetic energy with the mass of the kid to find max speed. Okay, classic. In fact, yeah, let me get my Miro whiteboard up, because this is one where I also, because it's just been, as you can imagine, insane with exam season. I feel like I'm less, like with sort of usual physics seminars, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go through this topic. Let me prep ahead of time. Here's the textbook. Whereas with like the post-exam stuff, I'm like, hey guys, I'm just going to need you to be very like student here, because I am so busy and drowning. It was all muscle memory. I mean, that's what can happen sometimes if you're relying on muscle memory. But sort of, if you're talking about muscle memory, I think you're talking about, so this is immediately, it's not even in, well, it's simple harmonic motion, certainly. But if you're talking about the max kinetic energy with the mass to find out max speed. Well, I suppose, it nearly works. And the reason why that nearly works is because, it comes from this classic, energy curve, where the potential is doing its parabola thing. You have your total energy, which that was not it. There's it and there's not it. No, still not it. That's even worse. You've got your total energy, and then you've got your kinetic energy. Where that's total, that's potential energy, and that's kinetic energy. So the classic here is that the potential energy at the amplitude is equal to the kinetic energy at equilibrium. So if you're given the kinetic energy at equilibrium, that is the max kinetic energy. That's the total kinetic energy. And that's the same as the potential energy at sort of amplitude. It was to show that question, and the answer was correct. Then amplitude... Well, hold on a minute. No, the reason why that worked out for you then, and you might get away with this, is because the equation you're looking for is V equals A omega. V is equal to A omega. Or V max equals A omega, where A is the amplitude. Because V equals omega x-ish. I mean, the sign of the phase is different, but in terms of amplitude, you're looking for this. So if you're given the amplitude, and yeah. So I'm not even sure you would need a K. I think you'll be fine. I think that mistake is probably less bad than you think. So it may have just been a case of things canceling. It sounds like I would be okay with that. M is the mass of the kid. That's fine. If you know the kinetic energy, you can get the... I think it's less bad than you think. And I also think this only sounds like it was a 4 or 5 marker in amongst the whole of the paper 1. So I'm not certain this is going to be like a huge issue, which is great. It's great to be told like, hey, even if you made a mistake, it's not like a massively bad one. What was your offer, out of curiosity? Because I don't think this is an offer-threatening mistake. You know what I mean? Especially if you've got... Mind you, for AQA, paper 3 is a nightmare sometimes. So just like, it's always good to build yourself out a safety net. 3 A stars, that's bananas. That's a wild offer. Who's offered you that? What did you do? Who did you hurt? Like, what? 3 A stars? Not even Cambridge does that. Why is Cambridge? Cambridge should not be given 3A stars. That's unusual. That I'm curious about. All right, in which case, well, you still need to be getting up into the 85, 90s. So you're right that paper 2 needs to be going well. The college that you applied to does that, right? Right. Well, okay. What can we do to get you really solid on paper 2 then? First of all, I wouldn't beat yourself up about that mistake in paper 1. It's made you more alert, and you're just going to be able to sort of approach it with like clearer eyes for the next one. Paper 2, I would say, obviously not knowing you, not knowing your ability, and not knowing where your preferred topics are. Like have faith in the skills that you demonstrated in paper 1 anyway. B, like go in really hard on the syllabus stuff for paper 2, and just make sure you've covered absolutely everything. I'm pretty sure we have videos for like everything there is in paper 2 on this channel already. But if you need any specific topics, obviously always feel free to drop those in the Discord. I can make a special video about that. Yeah. So on the whole, it doesn't sound like anything was too bad. Like I think a lot of people like the paper 1 stuff. I'm wondering if there's, let me see if there was any other reactions. So this was all beforehand. Yeah. So you'll get 90% plus if I don't make silly mistakes like this. 90% plus is like what you're looking for. I would say just being very, very careful in paper 3, because that's where things can really fall down. I find with physics, I think, well, also, if you've got the AAA star, that implies you probably need the A star in further math as well, which is also similarly difficult. So with the further math stuff, like just making sure, the core procedures are okay. Knowing how to use the formula book is okay, but getting enough practice that you can execute it consistently, oh, you don't do further. Okay. So what is it? It's a math phys chem. Yeah, chem. Okay. Chemistry, just definitions. You know that. Chemistry is all about definitions. Yeah. So it sounds like you're doing okay, right? It sounds like the exam technique. Well, that's actually, ironically, what you've experienced is instructive because it's something that people go through when they're over-prepared. If you're over-prepared, you can be like, oh, I've done 1,000 of these questions. Ironically, it makes your eyes kind of glaze over. You're like, oh, it's that question, yada, yada, yada. It makes you not read the question as well as you would otherwise, which is a huge problem. Because it's as soon as you think a question is easy, as soon as your eyes glaze over, that's when you introduce those execution errors like you had. So it's reminding yourself that every question, imagine like it's the first time you've ever seen that question, and you're taking in every word as if you really need to learn the form of a structure of the question as, seeing it for the first time. So chemistry, it looks like you're fine. Physics, it looks like you're fine. Math should hopefully be fine as well. Although it's bananas like that. The math is very, very backloaded this year. Like a lot of the exams are backloaded this year. A lot of them are coming after the half term. Speaking of the half term, I'm in doubt that I will be able to do a physics live stream next. Hold on, when's paper 2 though? Phys paper 2 is on Monday the 1st. Now that's interesting because maybe I'll take some time today then. I'll find a paper. Let me go through some multiple choice just to make the most of it because I'm not certain that I'm going to have a lot of time because next week is what I colloquially call Hell Week, where like that exam, that half term in the middle of exam season is where everyone is like, let me put it this way. No exam that people have after half term do people study for until the half term. Like if it's after half term, people are like, that can wait. I got bigger fish to fry right now. And so what it means is I get this huge influx of demand in this 1 week in the year, which means I'm working like 11 hours on Monday. Like it's going to be insane, which means I'm not entirely certain I'm going to be able to go live. If I do go live, it'll be at a less comfortable hour. So there's a non-zero chance I could go live on Tuesday the 26th. But other than that, it's either going to be something like Saturday morning or like in the deep evening. So while we're here, why don't I do some paper 2 stuff? So let me find, this isn't prepped, mind you. So I'm going to have to just like monologue while I find it. But let me get some, I'm going to do the AQA because you've explicitly said you're AQA. Of course, other people drop in chat if you want something different, but let's find AQA physics past papers. Well, I'll also say A level. And I'm not going to show, because I'm still like, I'm not wanting to rock the boat too much when it comes to like copyright stuff. So I just like wait and download the whole thing. Let me do not too recently, because there's a less chance that that's going to be repeated. Your material is up there already. Yeah, for that stuff. Let me find, because I don't want to go through, because I found this before. I tried to do a live solve of a physics paper, and it's just boring watching me write stuff down. But the multiple choice is where stuff gets fun. So let me find, okay, so I've got this. I'm going to be doing 2022, it looks like. Let me get the mark scheme as well. Okay, so I'm going to open those up. And in fact, let me not do that, because I actually prefer it when it opens in, like, I don't know how, like, because I'm so technologically illiterate. You feel so worried for paper 2? Paper 2 does definitely have harder topics in it, but don't worry, you've got this. Remind yourself what the very core ideas are in each topic, and you shouldn't go wrong. Remind yourself that each question, even if it looks insane, is only designed to give you the opportunity to demonstrate what you've learned from the syllabus. So it's going to be based, hello. It's going to be based in some simple idea from the book that you can just demonstrate, right? Rate of change of the magnetic flux is the induced EMF. Things like that. Just bring it back to the core skills, and name the topic and go, all right, what are the ideas that come up in this topic? Let me prove I know these ideas in the topic, right? And in the worst case scenario, let's say they ask a question that you genuinely do not know. You don't want to sit there and write nothing, because then, like, what was the point in you learning something for 2 years just to get no credit for it? So you can almost like answer the question in that topic you wish they had asked that would allow you to demonstrate what you know. And you never know, maybe that helps you pick up method marks, right? So there's always things you can do with your exam technique to give yourself a better chance. Right, let me get these papers open. And by these papers, I mean this paper. I want to go specifically into the multiple choice part. I've got the paper up and loaded, so let's get into it. I'm not going to time it or anything. I'm just going to go through and tell you what I think. So this is going to be June 2022 AQA. Let me not share the entire screen. Let me get into this. Zooming in. All right, let's get into it. So here, what am I thinking? Ideal gas. Oh, someone says, in fact, let me pause while I enter comments. Honestly, I thought paper 1 was quite nice, apart from that one pendulum question. Yeah, you and everyone else. You and everyone else. But which is what you tend to find is that there's like, it's kind of reassuring, because if a bunch of people find the same question hard, that kind of bodes well for grade boundaries. Like it makes you feel like you're not doing worse than everyone else, right? If you come out and think, oh, I bombed this one question, oh, and everyone else got it, it means they're kind of one step ahead of you, and that's not a great feeling. Well, hold on. What exam board are you? Miss Theos. Oh, you were AQA as well. Yeah, you were taught, yeah. I'm curious about that. Is it the same as the comment question I got earlier about like someone on a swing? If you got that specific question, I would love to hear it. So I'm gonna filibuster for a little bit in case it comes into chat. But if not, like if it's not forthcoming, I think it should be Young's modulus with circular motion. That's a funny combo. The swing was on AQA. Okay. So how would that work? I think I did. Well, luckily, like, someone suggested a similar question in my last physics live stream when I was talking about material science and Young's modulus. They did the Young's modulus with moments there. Okay, someone is saying that paper 2 is more chill. Nope. Well, paper 2 is like, it's more calculation based, but I think it's got more scope for things to go drastically, horribly wrong. Not that it's going to go drastically horribly wrong for you, but your feelings about paper two are valid. Swing with a metal pole for safety. The strain had to be 1%. So how would that work? You would need to do, if you know the strain and you know the Young's modulus, you can work out the maximum stress. If you know the cross-sectional area from the diameter of the wire, you can work out the maximum force. And the force, I'm assuming you can do from F equals mv squared over r to work out if you're going to get there. The weight limit based on a max velocity. Yeah, so what they're going to do, so a max velocity they give, you know r from the length of the string, they give you the max velocity. That can give you the maximum m, because F equals mv squared over r. So you can work out the maximum force, and you know v squared and r, that means you can work out the maximum mass. You also had to use the circular motion equation, apparently. Well, the circular motion equation, F equals mv squared over r, is the resultant force. That would give you the tension in the wire, which is the force that you need, because that tension is the one that's giving you the strain. I'd be really curious to see that question when that gets published. I mean, granted, it's going to be a while before I get to see it, because they take a while to publish the papers, but... Oh, you're right. Circular motion. Yes, vertical circular motion. Yes. Resultant force is mv squared over r. But if it's at the bottom of the circle, if it's a vertical circle, let me get my mirror whiteboard out. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Because this is very much the circular motion, the vertical circular motion stuff we were talking about when we did that. Also, I'm feeling super relaxed, so apologies if it means I'm... Ironically, the more relaxed I am, the faster I talk, because like taking my time is actually effortful. But like, okay, if you've got a circle and you're at the bottom, if you're at the bottom of the swing, then you know you've got tension up and you've got weight down. You know that T minus mg equals mv squared over r. And you know that T, therefore, would be mg plus mv squared over r. And that tension is the force in stress is equal to E times strain, which is force over the cross-sectional area, which means that the force in the string, which is the tension, is the cross-sectional area times the Young's modulus times the strain. So therefore, the cross-sectional area times the Young's modulus times the maximum strain is the mass into g plus v squared over r. And if you're given v squared and r, then you can divide that through and you have all the quantities to give you the maximum mass. That's interesting. Very, very interesting. All right. Someone's saying, hey, this stream got on my YouTube itself. What's going on here? I don't know. I don't understand the techie things. I don't understand the algorithm. But if you poke it and like and subscribe and do algorithmic things, maybe that'll make it do other things. Not entirely sure what you mean by that, but... so, okay, you don't know how you managed that. You did get 1900 somewhere along the way. This seems like a question where a lot of people were going to pick up like 3 marks, but very few people are going to pick up 5. Yeah, no worries, man. All right, so why don't I stop? Oh, your dad's a physics lecturer. That's cool. Oh, maybe that sort of the algorithm knows. You kind of hear physics chat in your house, and the algorithm's like, "Do you want this?" He'll like my videos. He'll find my videos boring. If he's a lecturer, then he's doing like university stuff. My stuff is basic for him. Yeah, the school level stuff. He's like, oh, okay, that's not going to be entertaining. But I prefer the much more relaxed stuff. I prefer like the chill stuff in school where I can kind of come on YouTube and just be relaxed and chat it up. That's not not that phrasing. Cut it up. Have a chat. Oh, thank you very much. Do I have any AQA specific paper two videos? Oh, sir, do I? Well, I mean, I've got all of the topics for paper two. I've got individual physics seminar streams that I've done on all of those. Um, the question. Okay, someone's asking about the question. So the question, in fact, the question I use that. The question came from chat. So you're going to want to flick through chat if you want to understand what's on the board right now. This is about like a question that came up in AQA paper one to do with like circular motion on a swing, but it was a lot of people calculated F equals mv squared over r and thought that F was the tension, but it wasn't. It was the resultant force from which you had to work out the tension. It was like a whole situation. You really like this channel for ESACs and physics revision. Thank you very much. Well, in fact, that's what I'm actually really, really excited for is the second exams are finished, I'm going to be able to get back on the ESAT cycle. And like, that's one thing I didn't get to do because I started the channel so late in the game. Because so I started it in September and the ESAT was in October. One thing I want to do this summer is to really focus on like how to build up that speed when you've got a timeline. Honestly, it's not even the ESAT revision because the individual topics are like not too bad if you know the syllabus stuff. It's more the skill of the speed of it all. That's the issue. Because there's also so few past papers, you can kind of pick those up right at the end and be fine. Yeah. Like it's really it's difficult to get up to speed on. Yeah, you got to speed run so much and learn how to go without a calculator. The calculator, that's really the thing that messes with people. Yeah, finding out ways to simplify the work. It's really good fun. But yeah, I'm very, very much looking forward to it. And by the way, I can tell you from the stats that the Oxbridge entry stuff, like the ESAT stuff, especially the interview stuff, like that's the stuff that really pops off. I think a lot of people have stuff, or they like not a lot of people are going to YouTube for like the physics and math stuff normally. But like that stuff, people I think need support on. So I'm really happy to keep providing it. Yeah, and well, not only is it new, but they're never releasing a new past paper. They only have papers going back to like 2016, and then they changed it all up, and now it's just like difficult to know how to prep. So yeah, I'm happy to keep doing what I'm doing on that. R2 Drew 2, like he comes up a lot on the TMUA stuff. R2 Drew 2. He hates how EdXL has 2 calculator papers for math A levels. Well, do you know what? There's a lot of the EdXL IGCSE is also entirely calculator. I agree that there should be some non-calculator component. But hey, we can't win it all. I think it doesn't prep you if you're going for a non-calculator entrance test like the ESAT. Oh, it underprepares people for math degrees. I would be, well, I'll tell you what. On the one hand, I would be surprised if they were all non-calc, but on the other, I wouldn't be surprised because they famously joke that you eventually, once you go deep enough into a math degree, you never see a number again. So there's nothing to calculate. It's all expressions and derivations. So the proof would be relevant, and you're not really using your calculator in proof. There's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't do with your calculator that would be relevant that it does kind of prep you for. I will say, as someone who's more of a scientist than a mathematician, calculators are great as long as you actually also know how to use, how to do it without the calculator. You have a study math or lectured for a bit. He said out of 13 exams, 1 was calculator. That is far from my experience as a scientist. Very far from my experience. But I will say, in fact, the non-calculator prep is one thing I'm really going to do this summer. So it's because you can get some GCSE papers that are non-calc, and I'm going to use those and just speed run them. And when I say speed run, I'm going to like try and set records. It's going to be so much fun. Some numbers are too nasty without a calculator. I also like the trig stuff, like sine and cos of angles that aren't 30, 45, or 60. But yeah. All right. And yeah, another speedrunner. Oh, That's genuinely what like I had so much fun doing the ESAT because I was like, let's go. In fact, someone someone on one of my ESAT videos was complaining in the comment section that I was speed running it too much. I was like, okay, yeah, you can do it fast, but why is this educational? I was like, I'm sorry, I just like going fast. I'm like, it's exam technique. But that's yeah, right. That's another thing I'll do as well is go a bit slower and actually go through the specification and make sure people know what they need to know, point out any corners, that kind of thing. But it is pretty fun. This is what I want to get. This is why I think it's cool for me to get to demonstrate it because you can watch how much fun I have going at that level of speed. You can kind of watch me like working at people. You just it's fun watching people try their absolute best at things and having their brain work and just fire at max capacity. I think it's entertaining. I think it's really good fun watching speedrunners. And so like picking up that taste for the fact that you can do it with a skill that you already have and like develop your math skills further, I think is just really cool. You can do math that fast, but only if you practice. uh, it's a bit like, well, I mean, yeah, it's just good fun, honestly, because math is so skills based. It's very much like gymnastics, where you kind of like you build up the skill and then you just practice it over and over again, and you can build up the power and just get better and better at it. So, yeah. All right, I'm gonna keep chatting if the chat is still chatting, but if not, ooh, for the math, CP1 and CP2. CP1 was amazing and CP2 slaughtered you. I haven't actually. Hold on a minute. Have I heard about CP2? I've. Are you at Excel? I had a guy again. He said CP1 was magical, but I think he said that CP2 was harder but doable from his perspective. Yeah, that was yesterday at Excel. I think I have a guy on OCR. He maybe yeah OCR. Yeah, he's OCR. OCR apparently was really good for CP2. At Excel less so. CP2 killed you with timing. Okay. What topics came up? Out of curiosity. Because that's one thing with timing is you can pick up. That's why I really advocate for this multiple pass technique. Is as soon as you get stuck in the mud, you can just skip it and move on to the next stuff. Pretty disgusting McLaurin series. Yeah, that's just tedious. I hate McLaurin. As soon as I see that, I'm like, skip next. I'll do you at the end because I know you're just going to take time and honestly just not be worth the marks you're giving me for it. Yeah, I think always remember that you have every right to do the questions out of order. You have every right to do the questions in an order that maximizes your marks per minute, builds up your buffer, and like means that the stuff at the end is not as stressed. McLaurin is horrible, and that's honestly why I don't like further math. Is because a lot of further math is not even about the understanding. It's almost like doing a hypothesis test, which is the worst part of single math, where it's like, do you know the procedure? Just do it. There's not really much invention there. There's not much thought or discovery. It's just you sort of just turn the crank and just get a process out, you know? Hello, hello, hello in the chat. Um, you had to do a for x to the up to x to the 4. Oh, for ln sec x. So then we have to use that. Well, the good thing when there's trig involved is some of them are like they cancel. So sometimes you get like the one x and x cubed will be 0. So it's actually not as bad, but ugh. Yeah, accuracy. Yeah, I got down to only 2 terms. That's what I would expect for something with trig in it, but like that's if you're ever going up to x4, that's why. If they ask me, yeah, it can be tricky. I would say as long as you demonstrated good mathematical ability, you should be fine. Like you should be completely fine. All right. There was also a weird hyperbolic integration. God damn it, do I hate hyperbolics. You're working out how the integral of cosec. Off the top of my head, I don't know how to do that either. Sometimes you do get some random integration. Like sometimes they're in your formula book. I don't think cosec is a standard integral though. It's obviously entirely possible that wasn't what you had to integrate. Yeah, using I again, I don't know why my brain hates hyperbolics as much as it does. I love trig, but I hate hyperbolics despite the fact like they are so closely related. But it's specified to use exponential form. Really tricky without me seeing the specific question. So there's a whole lot of expanding. It was pretty gross to work out. What should you become in the future? Hell if I know. I don't know you like that. No, what you should do is honestly, my advice for working out what you should do in your future. First of all, know your personality type, and that matters much more than people will advise you. Like I had the like I was getting like 6 A stars at A level. Like I was once top of my year at Cambridge in material science. And so I was like, oh, well, obviously PhD, obviously science professor, but oh my God, do I not have the personality for that? Like, you stick me in an actual lab and get me to do actual science, I go insane. Despite the fact on paper, I should be a scientist. My personality does not sustain that. So, know what your personality type is, what you can psychologically sustain. Are you an extrovert? Do you need to be surrounded by a bunch of different people? Like, that kind of thing, like, matters more than people think it does. Yeah, that's my top piece of advice. I really hope engineering works out for you. I mean, also you can like get an engineering degree and go into something that's not engineering. Like a lot of people start off in engineering, you can move into consulting, you can move into banking. Like you've got a numerate degree, people will hire you in pretty much anything. Hello. Hello in the chat. Um really hope engineering, yeah. Oh, become an insufferable finance bro. It's hey, listen, when I talk about personalities, sometimes that just suits your personality. Like it nearly suited mine. Like it nearly suited mine. I really do miss like office culture. I loved the after work networking. I loved wearing a suit. Like I'm just a suit guy, which is why I'm still like wearing full shirts all the time, even though I'm like, yeah, I say nearly. I did actually work in a bank for 2 years. I just wasn't front office. I was middle office. Um, yeah, but like yeah, you'll work it out sort of culturally like what you gravitate towards, the types of people you want to be around, like what kind of work environment you want to be in, what you want to wear, what lifestyle you want to live, how much money you want to make. Like because also I can tell you I know people whose brothers make like 7 figures doing quant trading algo stuff, and I'm like cool, but you got to get to work at 7, you're working till like really late and the money has made you a terrible person, so is it really worth it? Like I wouldn't take that trade. Why did I leave banking? Oh, because I hated it. Oh, so fun story. My entire reason for taking that job at the bank was because I had no idea what I wanted to do with my life. I had thought I wanted to be a scientist, and then I realized I didn't want to be a scientist, and my entire identity crumbled. And I was like, all right, I just need to process what happened there. So I literally went to myself, I need a job that gets me maximum income for minimum effort so I can sit at the desk and work out what I actually want to do. And so what I did, you see these things? You see these diaries? These are diaries. These are handwritten diaries. And pretty much all of these ones here that have these page flags in them on this shelf, I wrote at the desk on the bank time. It was completely redundant. Like I literally, one of my managers went away for 3 weeks on a honeymoon, and my output was actual, absolute, literal zero. Swear to God, didn't do a damn thing. No one noticed. I'd managed to sneak my way in and make myself that redundant that, like, yeah, I could just sort of do what I wanted. I invented quiet quitting. I was doing quiet quitting before quiet quitting was a thing, before it was even a name. And yeah, I just sort of slowly meandered, and now I'm here. Sort of, I was like, all right, do you know what? The real world sucked. Let me go back to when I was at my prime, when I was 17, doing A level exams. Banking. Hey, listen, I do not advise you do that. I Because honestly, it's the worst feeling being so actively disengaged like that. Like I was like, I'm a parasite. I'm a leech. Why am I here? Like it's not a good way to live. You got to go somewhere where you're going to be able to contribute something of value. Do I play games? No, I do not have the time. I'm busy like working. I'm in like three orchestras, one of which I help run. I'm doing the streaming. I'm doing some writing. Like, yeah, I keep a busy life. There's not that much time for gaming. Um, Teaching seems pretty fulfilling. Would want to try that at some point. Luckily, there's opportunities for you at university, man. Like you can. I remember when I was in my fourth year, I had an optional module where I could kind of do what I want. Most people learned coding. I was like, kill me, never, no, that's not happening. So I chose education instead. So as a university student, I was literally in a classroom teaching year nine chemistry, exothermic and endothermic reactions. Um, so that is an option. Like you can pick that up as you go. And for me, like I never wanted to be a classroom teacher. I never wanted to wake up. I didn't want to do the marking. I didn't want to do the planning. I didn't want to do the classroom management. I didn't want to have to deal with the salaries, to be quite fair. Like I really like being self-employed and really chasing the numbers. And that's why when I kind of fell accidentally into tutoring, I was like, oh, wait, you mean if I work more, I get paid more and I can just sort of chase it as far as I want to go? Bring it. Bet. Um, and so yeah, like you slowly iterate. You just sort of make trade up, trade up, trade up until you find something that really works for you and what you want. Coming back to the chat. You see, I'm glad the chat popped off. It's more fun when there's a chat to react to. I would like if I can always sort of go back into the paper three stuff, the two stuff. But I think yeah, let's keep the chat while the chat's still going. Um, Honestly, teaching seems pretty cool. I've talked about that one. What work do I do? This I do tutoring like full time. Um, Pretty sure our South African syllabus is way more complicated than you guys. Y'all got it easy, possibly, but you haven't seen. I haven't done further math on this channel. Further math is legit. There's certain things like the particle physics I haven't done yet, which is deeply unfun. But I'd be curious to see because I know, like for instance, India. Whoa, that JEE, the JEE advanced is like insane. I can't even believe that people do that. So like, I'll believe you if you show me a paper to prove it. um, Someone says, in my opinion, the AQA physics paper was laid out strange. That happens sometimes. I know I got really screwed once when there was like an entire page of information, and then right at the very bottom, there was a single one line, one mark question, and I just physically didn't see it. So I lost it. That was bad. And that's why I always say the first thing you do the second you think you're done with a paper is to reread the paper and just make sure you've answered every part of every question. Um, as a 16-year-old, can I give you some advice? How can I pass the exam feeling you can't do it? Well, first of all, you've got some time. You've got some time. I would say don't overcomplicate it, right? Like if you can't simplify it down to simple skills, like it's just this skill, practice that skill until you can execute, move on to the next skill. And then you'll realize, like, oh, when you look at a question, oh, it's just that skill. Oh, well, I can do that skill. And then you realize the question isn't as bad as you think. You get that confidence, you get that momentum, and eventually you realize you're able to do like the papers, right? I always say, especially when it comes to math, you've got your three types of error: your conceptual error, your execution error, your exam technique error. Right at the start, you want to build conceptual sort of understanding. You want to build consistency there, make sure you understand the topic. Then you get to answering some questions and you fall on your face a little bit because there's the little things that keep going wrong. You stay in that zone, you just rep it over and over again until you learn the small mistakes. So then you get a bit better and a bit more consistent until eventually you're able to get it right like 90% of the time. Then you move on to past paper questions and you fall for the usual mistakes of misreading the question, not checking to make sure you've fully answered the question, got all the way over the line. It's the more you can do like the little steps to get there, the better you're going to do. Standard paper difficulty, generally a bit weird. Um, a paper was leaked. I hate when papers get leaked. It ruins everything for everyone. Um, do. The questions were weirdly worded, but it wasn't that hard. That also doesn't feel great because you like, especially because I work with some international students, and I find that really disfavors people for whom English is not a first language. Like, you really want the questions to be accessible enough that you know what they want at the very least to give you a chance to prove your ability. India mentioned. Oh, India always mentioned. India's like very prominent in my chat. Everyone's like obsessed with the JEE. Like every time I do a math life paper solve, they're like, "Can you do the JEE advanced?" And I looked at one and went, "No, no, sir, I can't." Have fun finding someone who can because that person is better than me. I'm gonna be tuning into their channel, learning from them. Indian, yeah, it's very hard. India and China, they go really in on the STEM subjects. It's not just a stereotype. Very, very true. Oh, interesting comment. So one of the things that makes UK and JK, I'm gonna try that again. One of the things that makes UK education wackier is that everyone around the world is also trying to get a UK uni place. So it's more so about competition than how hard the papers are. I will say I never really experienced that coming up in the system. Like I always felt I never was really aware of what was happening in education globally. Like I kind of just knew my A levels. I did my A levels. It went okay. And I wasn't really I just always assumed that there's kind of like a it's not that like okay, let's put it this way. Let's say that there's like people applying for 100 university placements and like 200 really good applicants are international. They're not going to give all 100 places to the international people, right? There's going to be enough places for homegrown people that like as long as you do enough within your system, like you should be fine. So I kind of it never really phased me. Oh, you have a computer exam tomorrow. Okay, if you've got an exam tomorrow and you're worried, game day, like remind yourself to fight for every single mark. Read every single question. If you don't feel like you can do it, skip it. Make sure you get every single question that you can answer, and that will build that confidence and momentum. Then it gives you that fighting spirit, and then you can apply your skills to the ones that you're less confident in. But psychologically, you want to be building a good story of how the paper's going. It means being selective with the first question, because if the first question doesn't go well, then you kind of get in your head and you're like, oh my God, this is going so badly. So you want to be careful that the first question is going to set the tone. Pick a question that you like, calms you down, makes you realize you've got the skills, you're going to be fine, and pick it up from there. The JE is crazy. Also, for these message retracted, this feels like auto moderation in the chat. I don't know how that works, and if I'm sorry if I'm doing it, and I'm sorry if you are trying to tell me something important. Yeah. How bad is the JEE? Like, is it conceptually challenging? Yeah, it's insane. Someone in a live, I did you can watch it actually. I think it was my last math live solve. The paper was fine. And then I get to the end and someone drops in the chat a JEE question and it's like, can you do this? And it was like, all right, so you have S1 that has these three elements. There's three possibilities for S1, and then you take an element, a couple of elements out there, and that forms this, and then the ones that are remaining make this. But then you add an element to all three of those, and it turns into this other thing. But then you take two things out of that, and that creates a new set. But then you add some new things to that set, and it creates a thingy. Oh, but then you take some things out of that, and it leaves it behind. But then you add a new thing on, and then is it back to the original? So what's the probability of? And I was like, what is happening? I was like, it took 25 minutes of my life. And I didn't even get close. Like it was just insane. So yeah, the JE, mind you, it's insane because I'm not prepared for it, right? I didn't have the requisite skills. I'm not used to that style of question, but it's like how I wasn't prepared for the TMUA. And I started off the TMUA, I get 14 out of 20 in the paper too. And then I train myself up a little bit and you guys can watch my progress. I get myself up to an 18. So you can't just blindly sit a paper and think you're going to do well. You need to spend some months really getting used to the style, the techniques, that kind of thing. Have I checked out this year's JEE Advanced? No. No, sir, I have not, and I don't intend to. I I value my self-esteem, and facing the JEE would threaten that self-esteem, and I'm not prepared to undertake that on this day, but thank you for checking. Um, Hold on a minute. What do we got going on? Gotta catch up. A lot of time sync questions too in the JEE, which is why you've got to be careful with your multiple passes. If you know it's a time sync, skip it. Skip it. Get to all the good, fun, quick ones first. Pick up the easy marks. Build a bank. Spend it later. Yeah, JEE. It seems to be the white whale. Like, everyone wants me to do it, and I don't think I'm good enough. I could get good enough. That'd be entertaining. Someone's an aspirant from India, targeting UK unis too. C1 English. Am I good to work on it? Do I need to work on the English? I don't know as much about the English as a second language requirements, so I can tell you your writing is good, certainly. Don't know too much chemistry. You're right, I don't do much chemistry. Well, it's ironic because I used to be a chemistry specialist. But chemistry required me to know too many things, and I was like, well, I don't want to do that. Any advice for revising inorganic? Step 1, know your definitions. Step 2, understand why things happen. So get real good at electrons. You're saying inorganic, which doesn't mean physical. So I'm thinking like transition metals and things like that. If you, I would say no. Have a definitions sheet, have a reactions sheet, and have a mechanisms sheet. So just rep them over and over again as if it's like vocabulary in a foreign language test. You don't want to become a flashcard merchant. I hated flashcards. I was more of a write it all out on a single piece of paper and just read it through, like cover it up and move through. So that's kind of flashcardy, but like I'm not a flashcards guy either. Ronaldo or Messi? Do I seem like I follow that sport? Look me dead in my eye and tell me you think I follow that sport. No. I grew up in America as well. Like, we did not care about it. And then I moved to the UK, and then everyone was obsessed with it. And so I, like, almost as a matter of principle, decided to become like anti-football, almost to stand my ground. Completely off topic, but how should I prepare for TMUA in October if I'm starting in July? You need to, 1, go through the specification. 2, go through the advice they publish on the logic of paper 2. So the specification more exists for paper 1, but they have a specific logic page to do with like if and only if, necessary and sufficient, contrapositives, all that kind of stuff. Really spend your time getting to grips with that, because that paper 2 is bad. Beyond that, you can be going through the old style math tests, especially the multiple choice questions. That will kind of prepare you. And also anything that you can do that's Oxbridge level math, I think is really good, which is why the math paper is really good. You can maybe try a step 1 just to push your mathematical understanding that little bit further. So it's a case of like pushing your ability as far as it will go, while also kind of getting ready for the paper specific stuff that they publish. Apologies. Do I want to get good at the JE? I just don't know that I do. The NEET. No, I have not. And I also have not heard of the IIT that is dropping in the chat as well. So many different papers. And do you know what? I really do like papers. So there's a non-zero chance I could spend this sometime this summer seeing if it's worth getting up to level on that. But I also don't want to look like a complete idiot and just sit down and get like 50% or less on a JEE. We'll see. We'll see. Rote memorization. Yeah, for the chemistry, it kind of does, man, which is why I don't like it as much. Organic feels great. Wait for that. Wait, that changes at uni. You can make sense of everything logically and it sticks, but inorganic doesn't feel that way. Oh, you're from Nepal. Hello. Am I American or British? Both. My dad is American. My mom is British. I'm dual national. I spent my childhood there. I moved here when I was 11. I moved back in like April of 2019. So I'm about as a 50-50 a split as you can get. Ah, okay. The NEET is for medical colleges. Interesting. Oh, is it best to save the TMUA papers for when best to do them? Yes. Don't, because the TMUA only goes back to about 2016. There's not as many papers as you'd think there should be, and those should be saved until about September, in my opinion. You actually, no, that's a lie. What you should do is you should go through the spec, go through the logic publication, get really good at that, do a lot of MAT tests, burn through the MAT tests as quickly as you can just to get your brain working at that level. Then you can start drip feeding in the TMUAs to make sure you're on track. If you're not, realize what your mistakes are, and then make your adjustments from there. So you can start to drip them in slowly throughout the summer, but only once you think you've reached certain revision checkpoints. Why don't you ever sit math or physics A-level papers? I do sit A-level math papers. I do those as live solves once a week on my channel here. Math ones I've been doing as live solves specifically because of the exam technique and specifically because of checking technique, which I find that teachers don't have enough time to cover. So that checking section is, if you got time for nothing else, skip straight to the checking section so you can see how I make use of my extra time and a calculator to make sure I've got them right or to spot execution errors. Okay, fun fact. Nepal's prime minister is a former rapper. That is a fun fact. That is a thing I know now. And yeah, Ukraine's president was a former comedian. Oh, someone says, got qualified and gave this year. And as he said, I was leaving questions which were hard, and after the first round, I could only do 3-4. So bad at the chem. Yeah, like some of those papers are just insane. But right, this has been very good. Thank you guys for any tips for long hours of study. Take breaks. As soon as you feel your brain start to slip, disengage, go do something else for a little bit, and then you can come back into it. But pay attention to your brain. Don't force it, because once that window closes, it's not going to be productive. I personally, like, I knew that I needed something like a complete refresh, so I would watch some like trashy reality TV clips for like 10 minutes on YouTube, get some social stimulation. I got some, like, gossip is surprisingly good to get the brain to reset. And then you can get right back in. So a very quick sort of thing like that is good. Do you have anything on preparing Olympiad math problems? Get really exposed to the style of it. I really like, I can't remember his name. You have to prep for it though. You can't just wing it. There are channels that are specifically for Olympiad problems that you can find. I really advise go finding them. But guys, thank you very much for keeping the chat very lively and active. I have to run because I have a session starting now. Do you do the techniques for math pass papers because it's a big problem? Yeah, but also people, I think you rarely get demonstrated exam techniques. So that's why I wanted to use the channel to do it. So I'm going to bounce now because otherwise I'll be late to my session. But in the meantime, thank you guys for popping out. Like, hopefully you found that useful. I think next time I do physics, I'll be doing some paper 2 multiple choice questions just to kind of blitz that and trying to show you what I'm thinking about that. And in the meantime, if you guys want to subscribe or like or join the Discord so you can drop suggestions of what else you want to see in the stream, very happy for you guys to do that. In the meantime, work hard, have a good half term, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.